Welcome to a brand new episode of TVGP's Game Club. This month we are talking about And Roger. I'm your host, Boston. I played this on PC, joined as always by Moonpier.
Hello, PC also.
And Musum.
Hello, Steam Deck.
Let's break down this game here real quick. Game was released on July 24th, 2025, published by Kodansha, developed by Tirihan Studio, released on PC, Mac OS, and Switch. There's a couple of different summaries for this game out here that I kind of like. The one from the, because we try and describe the game here before we kind of get into the nitty-gritty here. The one from the Switch store I actually really like. It says, And Roger is an interactive novel, lets you see through the protagonist's eyes, whether what she sees makes sense or not. It's comprised of 3 chapters and can be played in its entirety in about 1 hour. The publisher also gives a warning that is probably a little bit more succinct than I would be able to, because we're going to get into some topics here as the episode progresses. Publisher warning, this game is a work of fiction. However, it depicts certain uncomfortable aspects of reality. We suggest that you only play this game when you feel confident that doing so would not overwhelm you. If you ever feel overwhelmed while playing, please prioritize your well-being and take a break. I like their description of it's an interactive novel. I think that feels like the most appropriate sort of description of the game here. Do Time Critic real quick. Metacritic and OpenCritic don't have ratings. Not enough people have rated this game for them to have a sort of overall score for this game. Most of the ratings that I have seen out there are glowing, so they are typically in the like 4.5 to 5 out of 5, 9.5 to 10 out of 10, that sort of range. So I think if they had some sort of aggregate score, it would be fairly high. There's just maybe 3 or 4 outlets that have reviewed this game. So that's not enough for them to do an aggregate score.
Yep.
Appears for the release date, Islanders New Shores, System Shock 2, 25th Anniversary Remaster, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3+4, that was that remaster remake sort of thing they did. Donkey Kong Bonanza, The Wandering Village, came out of early access. That's the game that Moon and I have been talking about for, I feel like 5 years, where you build that city on top of that big lumbering beast. That finally came out. Shadow Labyrinth, that was that evil Pac-Man Metroidvania, which no, I did not just have a blackout moment and and just string a bunch of words together. That was actually a video game that came out. Monument Valley 3, Wheel World, and Ninja Gaiden Ragebound. We're going to ask the question we ask every month. Was this game top of the pile, middle of the pack, or overlooked? It's probably an easy one based on how many reviews there are.
Yeah.
This is one I definitely hadn't heard of until, I think, Moon, you were the one that brought it up recently, saying, hey, we should check this game out. It seems super cool.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I discovered it due to the wonderfulness that is Janet Garcia. So.
Perfect. Okay. I like Janet Garcia. Before we get into the game itself, I do want to give another warning here. We are going to be talking spoilers. This game is $5, and it genuinely is around an hour. Depending on how fast you click, maybe you can get through it a little bit faster than that. But I would recommend going into this game knowing as little as humanly possible, because I think the impact of the game and the story relies on you kind of not knowing what the game is before you get into it. So if you're interested in playing it, I would recommend maybe kind of pausing this for an hour, going and checking it out, and then coming back when you're ready, because spoilers start now. Who wants to start with And Roger?
I can start with something that I absolutely adored about this game.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a mechanical thing too before we get into the tough stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I like the fact that each chapter has an intro which teaches you how that chapter is played.
Yes, and
It's a tiny little thing, but it doesn't even tell you it's doing it, but it definitely does it.
I really like the intro to the game is you filling out like a web form with a CAPTCHA, and the game sort of being like, no, this is a mouse-driven game, and you already know how to do these things because you're already sliding volume sliders and you're doing the gamma slider and you're filling out a CAPTCHA before it all kind of goes pear-shaped. You have this kind of regular form filling out thing of like, yeah, this is just you're gonna use your mouse the whole time. I think the combination of those two things is really, really clever.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I did
forgot
notice you
about
got the
the
achievement
capture.
for putting trying to put 20 keys into the name field. By the way, Boston, how
Yes.
big was your name?
Well, I couldn't put anything in there because I was starting to type, and then like a box popped up at the top. Every time I would type a letter, it would pop up and say like, "Please enter your display name," but it would only go one character at a time as I was typing my name. So I'm like, okay, well, how far does this
Okay.
go? Beep 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 tip tap type, and then eventually it was like, you. This is too long to put in here, and I was like, oh man, I don't know what I'm doing. And then the game
So,
kind of gets all squirrely.
so you guys use the mouse, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So on the
Oh,
Steam
you
Deck,
went Steam Deck.
my choice is a trackpad or the joystick.
Hmm.
And when I have to enter text, you hold down the Steam button and press the X button to bring up the keyboard. So
Oh.
the name part legitimately probably took me like 5 minutes. Of like, did I not click on the field right? Okay, I gotta
Right.
close the keyboard. I gotta click. Okay, I got. What is? Oh, I get it.
Right. Well, and it's really interesting too as a primarily mouse-driven game of how many different ways you can use the mouse as an input in one specific thing. Like they do such a good job of having things avoid the mouse cursor, or you have to click a whole bunch of stuff, or you have to click something rapidly, or you need to swirl on kind of like a rhythm to it, or use it to drag something around the environment when you can't see. Like there's so many cool ways that they use the mouse and the mouse cursor as an input in ways that I was always sort of like, oh, that's really okay. That's really cool for them to kind of now I have to rush through this like sort of field of sharp teeth to get to the other side. Like there's so many cool things that they do, especially marrying the gameplay with the story of kind of buttons disappearing or appearing or getting fuzzy or switched around or not. They don't always do the same thing from scene to scene. I think that's really clever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know. And I think the game does a lot with a little. It reminded me a lot
Oh,
of
100%.
Florence
The,
specifically.
the cell phone game that we played.
Yep. Yeah,
Was that Florence?
yeah, that was Florence. Of just like you have this beautiful soundtrack, and you have this amazing artwork, and you have a lot of kind of connective stuff between it of them kind of manipulating all that stuff in really interesting ways and kind of using the most that they can with a little bit and stretching it pretty far, I think, for an experience that's really only an hour, but like we've been talking about, has a ton of interesting gameplay stuff and has probably one of the most heartbreaking stories I think I've experienced in a video game in an incredibly long time. In a way that I think only a game could do in a really exciting way, I think.
Yeah.
Especially for a game that starts out appearing to be a story about child abuse, and I was like, oh no, man, this doesn't
Yeah.
seem great. And then as it unfolds, it's like, oh, yeah, it's not child abuse. Boy, this is really just incredibly rough, especially with chapter 2 being so sweet and like the love story,
Yes.
the bakery love story unfolding, and then seeing that kind of ripple across the rest of the game is like, oh, that's why chapter 1 ended that way. Yeah, right.
Yup.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I think the thing that made me feel better is the game treats its subject matter well. It never, there's nothing that's like seen as uh like out to get a shock or a reaction out of you. And we talk about this every once in a while with games of like, this game trusts the player to figure it out and kind of put all the pieces together, and we don't usually get that with games, and it's really refreshing to have them be like, no, I'm going to tell you this story for an hour, and you need to kind of put all the pieces together, and I respect that a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
And again, powerfully told without any voice acting, different text. There's text boxes.
Mm-hmm.
A lot driven by the soundtrack and the general feel of it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's presented in a way that really marries the story together really well, between control, sound, the visuals, everything about it just ties it really well together for the story that it's telling.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think they do such a good job of showing the kind of human side of both what's her name, Sophie and Roger. Like the showing the human side of both of them, that both of them are struggling through this experience, and it only gets more and more difficult the older that the two of them get, and
Mm-hmm.
they don't have a perfect relationship because of this kind of struggle that they're going through. And I appreciate that it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. It was just like, no, man, this is hard. Like this whole situation is difficult, and everybody's trying to do their best, but it's just it's hard overall. It's just an impossible situation. So
Yeah.
yeah. It is kind of a tough game to talk about though, because it is short, and it is mouse driven. Like I think there's some really interesting stuff, especially in chapter 2, when Sophie and Roger are kind of getting to know each other and kind of falling in love, of how their lines sort of change to meet each other, and how they, rigid lines become more flowing, and flowing lines become more rigid, and that part I think reminded me the most of Florence, where it's sort of like you're using your interface display to show this kind of combination of two people, and how they fall in love in a really interesting way.
Yeah,
They have
and I
such
like the
good.
fact that. Go ahead.
I should say they have such good art and animation, and I was constantly shocked at the different kind of presentation that they would go into. Like, it just seemed like they probably had to, and I don't know, maybe they just queue up a new animation and then here's the button mechanic again. But it seemed to me like like every few scenes, they probably had to design slightly different gameplay mechanics for each section.
Right.
Like, they have the scene where she's going up the stairs that
Mm-hmm.
where you have to. I can't remember the specifics of that one, but I remember being just impressed by it, because you think you're just going to get a stair stepping animation, and no, you move a couple stairs, you do the, for lack of a better word, mini game. Calling it a mini game in this game seems um, insulting to it.
Right,
But
because
that's
it's
what we'd call it in another game. But
right, right.
but here it's so painful
Yeah,
uh, because of the story, like not the
Mm-hmm.
yeah, not because
if
of
the
the
game
gameplay.
plays.
Right,
Yeah, if the
right,
gameplay is painful to you in this, it's because the game wanted it to be as part of its story.
right,
It's
Yeah.
right.
anyway. I'm sorry. What were you gonna say, Moon?
You're okay. I was just gonna mention that, like, I love the, like Boston said, like the hard lines became soft. I like the fact that it's the sharp edges are cut off in
Mm-hmm.
this conversation bit that you're playing, where it feels like conversations become easier, and also you get distracted during the conversation, so the lines go all over the place, kind of
Yeah.
thing. But my favorite one of them all is it's the cooking section at the end of chapter 2,
Mm-hmm.
where you can't do it, and then your dad comes in with a color from off screen and like paints, like draws the line that you need to use, shows you how to do the placemats, that kind of thing, and it's just
Yeah.
like, yeah, this is how you turn and the oven on, and then you hold it and then you let go of it, and then it's like, yeah, but then leave it here, and it just draws the additional little line in where it needs to go, like
Yeah, when you're going to
that
cut
section.
the carrot and he draws the little hook so you can hold the carrot in place and then start cutting it, like
Mhm.
that was a really good moment of like, wait, I actually don't think I can do, like, how can I do both of these? And his hand just comes off the screen and draws that hook, and I was like, oh, that's really, and like you said, he has a number of times where he's just hopping in faster and faster and drawing the additional interface, and that was really clever.
Yeah, like that is probably my favorite one of these.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay,
It did
anything.
almost break me as well.
Yeah, it's rough, man. It's
It's
just,
tough.
and like I think I appreciate them just telling this story and telling it just honestly, of like, this is clearly a story that has affected someone on the development team in a very serious way, and them just telling the story and being honest about it is, I think, the best way of kind of addressing it. And
Hmm.
I think they did it really well. I mean, it's incredibly effective, but it never feels like it's just trying to go for like uh, pulling your heartstrings in a cheap way or something. It's just like, nope, here's the story of Sophie and Roger. This is just what their life was, and it wasn't easy. So,
So
Yep.
there's one more kind of minor thing I want to mention that I really appreciated what the game did.
mhm.
Um, I'm gonna try and delicately. Well, we have to talk about everything about this game delicately, but um, the main characters were Christian and would pray in it.
Right.
I'm not a Christian. My parents are Christians. I pray with them at dinner. Um, there is such a polarizing conversation, I feel like, about all religions in general. It was nice to see it, to see them being religious and praying and practicing, but without it being really shoved in your face, or it,
It's
being
not the focal
a
point.
game about how God solves everything or
Right.
something.
Yeah, it was
Uh,
like what they are struggling with. It's just part of their identity, and
yeah.
it's part of their story. And I agree with you. I think it was interesting having that be a part of it. And it's like, yeah, like the very final moments of the game is like, I prayed a whole bunch, man. I did nothing but pray, and this is our life. Like, this is
Yeah.
the lot we've been given, and we're just gonna make the best out of it.
Yeah. They didn't ditch the religion. They didn't
Yeah.
have any screw God moments, and they also, and it
Hmm.
didn't go the other direction of, oh, she's magically cured.
Right. Right.
Um,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so just
Yeah.
minor appreciation there. I wish more writers in different mediums in general would learn to kind of use that stuff more subtly, like it
Hmm.
actually is executed in reality,
Right.
um, outside of social media and
Right.
TV.
Right. Um. All right. Any Moon? Let's hit your kind of last stuff here, and final thoughts first.
This game was a gut punch for me personally.
Mm.
Um, Trying not to talk about it, a thing that affected this game happened to my grandmother, who is the person who essentially I credit as me being me, essentially.
Mm.
I like books, I like video games, I like anime, I like sci-fi because of my nan. Like that's where I get all of those things from. Um, so it was tough. It was an incredible experience, but oh boy was it tough.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, It's $5 and it's an hour. Go play it,
Yeah,
and then tell me the video games can't tell a story.
it's less money than like a 10-piece nugget in 2025. Like it's
Oh,
you have the money and
Boston,
you have the
why?
time. Like just go try it.
It's
Musim,
definitely less money than Starbucks.
that's true. Musim, your final thoughts here.
I don't know that I have much to add. I don't have any personal family experience with dementia specifically. Like the closest I get to that is my grandfather had Alzheimer's, which was really depressing, but did not come with the nightmare scenarios that dementia does. Or at least not, I guess, degrees of nightmare. Don't compare the two. It doesn't matter. But I think this is a beautifully a crafted game. I think the visuals are wonderful. I think the music's wonderful. I think the writing is on point. It took me about, I don't know. Yeah, I was a little ways into the game, like because when the game starts out, you get the menu stuff, and I thought, oh, this is going to be with some weird like, you know, hacker game's not what it seems game, and
Right.
then you get into the Sophie escaping from the man, and you're like, well, is this okay? Which type of game is this going to be? Is this going to be something that is going to make me cry about real life, or is this going to be like a weird horror game? And
Right.
and then the next 5-10 minutes, oh, okay, this is clearly a dementia story.
Right.
But I think it's great. I think it's a I don't know what word to use, but it is a game that has a massive amount of empathy for the person with dementia and the people dealing with them, and I think it would be important for people to play it if you haven't. But hopefully you have if you're at this point in the podcast.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's a hard game to talk about for a lot of reasons. This is also a topic that hits pretty close to home at the moment for reasons I'm not going to get into publicly. But I think that just makes it even more impactful for me. But I think it's one of these games that I'm glad we have checked out so many of them on this show that are these kind of short, focused experiences. We played Florence, we played Despelote, we played all these kind of biographical or autobiographical, short, kind of gameplay focused experiences. And I'm really happy that games like this exist and more of them exist as time goes on, that are this kind of like immersive, kind of interesting sort of, like I said, biographical or autobiographical sort of things. I hope we see more and more of these because I think they're very special. They're very cool, and I think they are something that only games can do. And I think that's really powerful from like a gameplay and a storytelling perspective. I realized at the top of this episode, before we got into the spoiler stuff, I forgot to mention our next game. Our next game for October is going to be Exit 8, which is available on PS4, PS5, Series Console, Switch, Switch 2, iOS, Android, MetaQuest, and PC. So you probably got one of those. It's a couple of bucks. We're figured out something spooky to play for October this year. And hopefully you'll join us along in playing it. And thank you so much, everyone, for listening. We'll see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.